Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AuthorHood podcast. To grace our show today, we have Astha Anand, who is the author of It's Okay to Feel This Way and Muddan. Astha Anand is an author deeply attuned to the intricacies of human emotions and relationships. Her sensitivity to feelings allows her to craft writings that resonate with authenticity and vulnerability. Her work often serves as a mirror to the soul, exploring themes of love, longing, resilience, and the quiet strength within us. Hello, ma'am. Thank you very much for accepting our invite.
Hi, Ashita. Thank you so much for having me here.
Beautiful. So, how will you best introduce yourself to the listeners?
I think I can't introduce myself better than what you just explained.
Oh,
But just in a very simple way, I would say I'm someone who likes to talk about things that people don't really talk about, and I would like to have more conversations around things that people shy away from, I would say, but things that are important to us, right? So in that sense, I'm a very simple-hearted person who likes to just share experiences, emotions, and just make conversations easy with people. That's all.
and believe me, that simplicity is so much in your tone. I mean, you were saying it and it
Thank
was
you so
feeling
much.
so cozy.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So, about your first book, which is It's
Mhm.
Okay to Feel This Way. Now, that is a very personal and very delicate conversation with the readers, actually, both ways. A
Mhm.
conversation between the book and the reader, and also between the author and the reader.
Mhm.
So, how did you get this idea to create such an intimate experience through your writing?
I would say I've always been in love with books, right? Like from a very
Okay.
young age, I was an avid reader. I still read a lot,
Hmm.
which basically helps me converse with books in a way. I feel like I find a lot of myself today, the way I have shaped up to be,
Hmm.
coming from different parts of different books that I have read through my, experience and my journey, my
Okay.
life entirely.
Hmm.
So I don't know anything apart from, when you read a book, you should feel connected to what is written in it.
Hmm.
That is the whole essence of why I read. So when I decided to write something and share with anyone who likes to read, I wanted this to be the crux of my creation. I wanted people to be able to connect with books, to connect with what I'm writing, and via that medium, connect with me
Hmm.
and feel that there is someone who thinks similarly, or books are such a unique way to connect with the author's mind. At that moment, the author is not an author, it's just another human being.
Just another human.
Yeah, so you just
Yeah.
feel like you have a connection with another person who you don't even know or have met or anything, but on a very humane level you connect with them. So the crux of the entire thing, or my idea, just stemmed from my love for reading, and I wanted people, whoever read my work, to feel the same way, to really be able to connect and not just have a very superficial experience, just read and then toss the book away saying, okay, it was a nice experience to read, but
Hmm.
then forget about it. That's not what I'm looking for. I look for someone who reads a book and sits back and has to really like, oh wow, this is something I just seeps into me and is now part of me. So that's how the idea came through.
Wow, so beautifully said. So beautifully said.
Thank you.
That one statement that read it and toss the book away. Wow,
Yeah.
that was good.
Thank you.
Now, if It's Okay to Feel This Way were to be translated into a visual art form,
Hmm.
maybe into a short film or so, how would you want it to look like, and which emotions would take the center stage? Which emotion, according to you, needs to be portrayed?
Hmm. Very interesting question.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting to think about it, because whenever I have written or whenever I write poetry, I never, think about how it can be visually represented.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but to think about it, I would say, so in my book, It's Okay to Feel This Way, there are actually a few sketches that I've also made, which
Hmm.
I thought resonated with the words or with the feeling that I was trying to portray. So in my mind, I would say, like thinking about it right now, I think the entire visual representation would be something to do with how I have imagined it. So, say for example, there was a poem called Tomorrow. So it
Okay.
was just about a feeling that if you are able to conquer your feelings today, that
Hmm.
will serve as a reminder for you tomorrow that you can still deal with anything that is thrown your way on the next day, right? So it
Yeah.
just helps, like the moment you get through something, that helps you carry over your confidence to the next day, that you can get through anything. And I
Hmm.
had made a sketch regarding that feeling, that there is a small girl with a little mouse as an accomplice on her head, and
Hmm.
she's trying to drive away a huge monster of jumbled emotions and foggy thoughts trying to attack her, and she's just trying to wave it away using an umbrella. So it just
Hmm.
shows the simplicity of everyday struggles that you have with your own emotions, with the thought
So
processes,
true.
with a foggy mind, right? Like
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
we try to power through all these things. So that is something I would think, as a visual representation. And if it's made into a short film, I mean, if I have to shoot for the stars, I can always say something like, those little short films that Disney makes, which is a silent film, but they kind of animate things and just portray emotions in that way. So I would think of it in that way. I would picture it that way. But the emotion that I would want on the forefront, I think it would be a simple or a very painless melancholy, which basically means, how we feel like hopeless sometimes, and
Hmm.
then we settle into that feeling. So we are kind of happy with being hopeless. Um, when you literally have no expectations from the world, when you don't feel like there is anything that can ever go right in your life, but then you have accepted that emotion and you're just living your life that way, and you forget about how happy you could be or how happily you could live.
Hmm.
This entire thing, I would package it and call it like a painless melancholy, because you're actually melancholic, but you're not really painful about it or sad about it, right? So this is something which I feel like a lot of people experience, but they don't really, um, it's never taken the forefront in anyone's brain, right? No one realizes that they're feeling this way, most often. So I would say
Oh, yes.
that is something I would like that to be portrayed as at the forefront, and have more people think about it and realize that, oh, this has become like a normal thing for me on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, maybe that would be something I would like to see.
And I've already typed this painless melancholy in my notes.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You've made this a topic to think over. बहुत ही
Yep.
सुंदर बोला है, बहुत ही सुंदर.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
the sketches, are they your own
Mm-hmm.
creation?
Yeah.
So I would really love to know the idea behind this umbrella and the girl. You said it's a very simple thing, but no, it's super complex. बहुत दिमाग लगाया हुआ है. So कैसे?
So इसका वही है, because when you start writing about an emotion, right, वो
Hmm.
उस वक्त पे the feeling that you're going through, because I've written all of these poems when I've been feeling about them. I've not really, it's not a method that I have followed to write a
Hmm.
poetry. It's like, I'm feeling this today, let me write it down. Let me
Okay.
express myself in certain words, and later maybe I would have come back to it to make it more like formatted better so that I can present it to people,
Hmm.
because raw thoughts maybe everyone won't be able to relate with. तो
जी.
उसको relatable बनाने के लिए I have formatted it, but initially the feeling that has been captured is written out of experience. It's personal. तो उस वक्त पे the feelings that you are feeling,
Hmm.
when I made that sketch,
Hmm.
it just came to my mind, because I am not someone who's an entity. I'm a normal person on a day-to-day basis who has seen many normal people around me who
Hmm.
probably have gone through the same things.
Hmm.
One thing which I think is very common is whenever you talk to people about this,
Hmm.
they very nonchalantly say, हाँ ये तो सबको होता है, ये तो
हाँ.
सबको फील होता है, right?
जी.
Everyone goes through this, so इसमें कौन सी बड़ी बात है? तो आई वाज लाइक यही तो बड़ी बात है, सबको ये फील होता है, फिर भी इस बारे में कुछ कोई कर क्यों नहीं रहा है?
हाँ, जैसे एक और चीज की फीलिंग वही है, सब वही फील करे, लेकिन उसका स्पेक्ट्रम कितना अलग है हर एक के लिए,
एग्जैक्टली,
है ना?
एग्जैक्टली। क्योंकि
हम्म।
ये रिलेटिव चीजें हैं, द वे यू
हम्म।
डील विद अ सर्टेन इमोशन विल बी डिफरेंट फ्रॉम व्हाट समवन एल्स डील्स विद
ट्रू।
in the same emotion, right? So
हम्म।
that is how we are unique, but we feel the same things.
जी।
So that is what I felt. I was like, if it is such a common thing,
हम्म।
everything that I depict should also be common. It's not something unique, it's not something different. It's a day-to-day thing which people
हम्म।
have just maybe ignored it or just lived with it or have found कि चलो ऐसे ही होती है जिंदगी. So
जी।
they just go with it, right? So
हम्म।
that is where the idea of keeping it very simple and day to day and mundane basically is,
हम्म।
that's where the feeling came from. And वहीं से सारी आर्ट उत्पन्न हुई है.
वाओ। एंड इवन पता है आपकी बुक के कवर्स, जैसे मुद्दत
Mhm.
भी, लाइक इट्स वेरी सिंपल,
Yeah.
इट्स ओके टू फील दिस वे, वो भी बहुत सिंपल बैकग्राउंड है।
Hmm.
तो वो सिंपलिसिटी पूरे आपके ऑरा में है, फिर वो बुक में भी ऐसे ही प्रेजेंट हो रहा है, वो बुक के कवर में भी आ रहा है, एंड इट्स एवरीवेयर।
That is something I strive for.
अरे,
Yes.
ब्यूटीफुल।
Yes. I hope I stay this way. मतलब हमेशा I've always wanted to stay simple because complication से कुछ नहीं मिलता है लाइफ
कुछ
में.
नहीं होता, ट्रू दैट, ट्रू दैट।
Right.
Okay, so in your second book, Muddat,
Mm-hmm.
you have explored the concept of waiting, which is another ununderstood and non-considered aspect of human lives.
Mm-hmm.
Just as much it is inevitable and in itself a beautiful experience, it is mostly kept at bay.
Mm-hmm.
How do you perceive the balance between the patience required in love and the urgency often felt in modern relationships?
Hmm. Okay. So, see, I belong to, okay, it doesn't even matter which era or which, generation people come from.
Hmm.
I feel like सबके अपने तरीके होते हैं. So, is something that I have always been very fascinated with.
Okay.
वो एक ऐसा इमोशन है कि I feel like you can never define it. उसका कोई definition नहीं हो सकता है. And its definition can always vary from one person to another. Without any like yes, no, correct, right, wrong. ये spectrum बहुत ही vast है when it comes to love. So I always feel like हर किसी का अपना तरीका होता है. I can't really draw a comparison between modern day relationships and the wait and love. And I feel like modern day relationships में भी वो layer है. The urgency that you're saying and like the patience and the urgency, the contrast that it shows. The urgency is also, there is an underlying patience that people are still looking for love. That is why the urgency is there,
One
right?
true thing, yes.
Yeah. So I think ये एक ऐसी चीज है जो I can't really weigh both of them or compare both of them because one thing can work for one thing can work for another. Um, but I feel like at the end of the day, everyone is looking for the same thing in life. किसी को किसी तरीके से मिलता है, किसी को किसी और तरीके से मिल जाता है. Some people are willing to put in a lot of effort and go through all the gamut of, take risks and, go through the entire journey to find it. And some people just want it to happen to them. Some people just want to sit and wait for it to come along. So I think ये perspective to perspective लोगों में change होगा. And it's not something that I can at least really compare. So yeah, I think this is my idea, but I feel like there is still an underlying, and that is the reason I explored this feeling in that book. Because I feel like घूम फिर के आप जिसके पास भी जाओ, if they are talking about love, they are talking about that sense of longing. They are talking about that sense of finding the simplicity in love, finding that stable relationships, stable feeling, emotions. Yeah, so I think that stays common. भले वो आपका patience वाला waiting long term वैसा हो या फिर urgent short term relationships हो, but the entire feeling stays the same across both. So yeah.
Again, very well said, very well explained. And अभी तक जितनी बात हमारी हुई है ना, like I'm having an ear to ear smile. And I'm just not able to put it away. मतलब सुन के ना, आपको सुन के बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. The way you are telling it, the way you're
I'm so
expressing
glad.
yourself, so beautiful.
Thank you so much. I'm
Wow.
really happy I can bring a smile to your face.
this is one thing that people really talk about every now and then. I'm
Hmm.
experiencing it. You have brought it so easily, बस बोल के
Mm-hmm.
अपने तरीके से, the way you are speaking, the way you are expressing yourself.
Thank you so much. That's the entire thing. I feel like हर इंसान को बस यही एक काम है जो that you can give back to this world, no
True.
matter what you do, where you are.
हाँ.
The only thing and the simplest thing you can do is make someone smile. That's all. It costs you nothing. It doesn't take anything out of you, and it brings so much joy to the world. So I just feel like, and I really believe in this. So I'm very happy that you said this, and I'm really glad I'm able to do this for you.
See, you believe in this and वो बहुत
Thank
effortlessly
you.
आपसे हो भी रहा है.
Thank you.
So, how does writing in Hindi for Muddat differ emotionally
Mhm.
and also creatively for you as a writer from writing in
Mhm.
English for It's Okay to Feel This Way?
So, is question ki I think there will be two ways in which I will answer this.
Hmm.
As an author, as a writer, matlab technically, if you speak, there is one part, and emotionally, if we speak, there is one part.
Hmm.
So मुद्दत में there is Hindi, but then there's a lot of Urdu as well. So उसमें मैंने बहुत सारे ऐसे words use किए हैं जो थोड़ा उर्दू speaking लोग use करते हैं.
Hmm.
So the emotion that I've written about, if I feel that in a certain language,
Hmm.
and now what I'm saying is completely like from inside a writer's brain. So kabhi kabhi it might sound a little crazy, but that's what it is. So I think of certain emotions in certain languages, right? So ऐसा होता है कि it's easier for me to express in that same language, because otherwise what happens is the emotion gets lost in translation. राइट आप अगर बोल रहे हो, इफ यू थिंकिंग अबाउट लव एंड इफ यू थिंकिंग अबाउट दैट पर्टिकुलर इमोशन इन अ पर्टिकुलर लैंग्वेज, आप हिंदी में सोच रहे हो, आपको उर्दू के कुछ वर्ड्स आ रहे हैं, आपको सॉन्ग के लिरिक्स आ रहे हैं मन में व्हेन यू थिंकिंग अबाउट दैट इमोशन, एंड इफ यू ट्राई टू ट्रांसलेट दैट इनटू इंग्लिश एंड राइट इट इन इंग्लिश, इट माइट नॉट डू जस्टिस टू
Do
हाउ यू आर फीलिंग.
justice. So yes,
राइट,
वो ट्रांसलेशन में कहीं ना कहीं फीलिंग लूज हो जाती है.
खो जाती है. हाँ,
हाँ.
एग्जैक्टली. तो मेरा वही रहा है कि if the emotion or if my expression is coming to me naturally in a particular language, let me just build on top of that. I would not rather change the source of thought. I would build on it. I would try to maybe use better words, or try to express it in a better way, or format it better, or phrase it better. तो वो काम जो है वो टेक्निकल वाले पार्ट में आ जाता है. So as a writer, the only difference that I think in both was what naturally came to me, but then the process of formulating the pieces, right? When you write any, आप कोई शेर लिख रहे हो, आप कोई भी poetry लिख रहे हो, prose लिख रहे हो, उसको लिखने का एक process है जो मेरा है, which I kind of first dump my emotions and then I make it better by just reading it multiple times. तो आपको खुद भी दिमाग में आता है कि, और if I rewrite it somewhere ना, like जैसे मैंने पेन में डायरी में लिखा है, फिर मैंने उसको टाइप किया कहीं, तो I would feel like I need to add certain words or remove certain words or just polish it a little bit more so that it comes off as an individual piece, which brings out the emotion better. तो वो पार्ट पूरी तरह से टेक्निकल है. तो वो प्रोसेस सेम रहा है both for Hindi and English. And also English is a little bit more natural to me. That's how I've always written and read in English a lot. Hindi is something I'm still exploring in a lot. ठीक है, although वो मेरा मदर टंग है, लेकिन एक होता है ना, आप लिटरेचर जितना जैसे मेरे इंग्लिश लिटरेचर की तरफ ज्यादा रहा है अब in my upbringing, तो it's easier for me to write in English. तो उसमें मेहनत थोड़ी कम लगती है. हिंदी में when I start writing, उसमें थोड़ा सा रिसर्च ज्यादा करना पड़ता है, थोड़ा स्पेलिंग ज्यादा चेक करना पड़ता है कि आई एम नॉट मेकिंग एनी एरर्स व्हाइल टाइपिंग. सो दोस काइंड ऑफ बेसिक इश्यूज, बट otherwise emotionally that was the only difference, but process wise दोनों का process was pretty much the same.
जैसे इंग्लिश में यू आर मोर कंफर्टेबल विद, तो वहाँ अगर कोई इमोशन है, कोई फीलिंग है, तो यू आर ऑलरेडी देयर विद द वर्ड. इट्स राइट देयर इन योर हेड, इट्स राइट देयर ऑन योर टिप.
pretty much.
हाँ, हिंदी में आपको वहीं थोड़ा सा ढूंढना पड़ेगा द एग्जैक्ट वर्ड. ये फील हो रहा है तो एग्जैक्टली क्या लिखा जाएगा. देयर आर सो मेनी प्राइवेसीज.
Exactly.
हाँ, एक आपको पता होगा, एंड फॉर द अदर यू हैव टू सर्च, यू हैव टू पुट एन एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट. Yes, very
करेक्ट,
rightly
एग्जैक्टली,
said.
स्पेशली व्हेन यू आर राइमिंग, स्पेशली व्हेन यू आर
हाँ,
राइमिंग,
राइमिंग के लिए
वो
बिल्कुल
और
बिल्कुल.
ज्यादा मुश्किल हो जाता है, क्योंकि यू
हाँ
आर थिंकिंग इन अ सर्टेन, आप नॉर्मल डे टू डे लिंगो में सोच रहे हो, एंड
हाँ,
फिर सडनली यू आर लाइक नहीं, ये वर्ड वहां बैठेगा नहीं, सो लेट मी जस्ट
सूट नहीं कर
बिकॉज एक
रहा है.
रिदम है।
हाँ
हाँ, एक रिदम बैठानी है, तो यस, उसमें थोड़ा ज्यादा मेहनत लगता है, करेक्ट।
जी. अच्छा, जैसे ये तो नॉर्मल एक क्वेश्चन मेरा ये था कि इंग्लिश और हिंदी लिखने में क्या फर्क लगा, बट अगर
हम्म।
पोइम वाले फॉर्म में भी देखें तो किसको लिखने में ज्यादा मजा आया, इंग्लिश वाला या फिर हिंदी वाला?
दिस इज लाइक द टफेस्ट थिंग टू एवर डिसाइड, बट पता नहीं, आई फील लाइक क्योंकि मैंने इंग्लिश में और लिखा है और मैंने बहुत लिखा है,
हम्म.
आई फील हिंदी वाला एक्सपीरियंस थोड़ा ज्यादा फन था, एक्साइटिंग था, आई वुड से,
हम्म.
बिकॉज दैट इज समथिंग इवन आई वाज गेटिंग सरप्राइज्ड विथ द वे इट
हाँ,
वाज कमिंग आउट। तो आई गेस उसमें वो एक वाव फैक्टर मेरी तरफ से खुद था, आई वाज रियली लाइक लुकिंग एट इट लाइक वो वाव मैंने लिखा है ये, तो वो
अरे
मुझे
वाह.
आ रहा था बीच बीच में।
हाँ.
बट इंग्लिश में वो चीजें नहीं आ रही थी, क्योंकि इंग्लिश में आई न्यू कि हाँ ठीक है, वो मैंने पहले भी लिखा है और भी लिखूंगी, आई रेड अ लॉट इन इंग्लिश, तो
हम्म.
वो एक्साइटमेंट कम था उधर। बट आई
हम्म.
गेस इधर 0.5% में भी ज्यादा होगा, तो आई
ज्यादा
वुड
हो.
से हिंदी देन। हाँ।
Wow. Okay. So, are you a more of religious person or a spiritual person?
Um, it goes hand in hand. I don't think someone can completely, like dissociate both
Hmm.
of them.
Hmm.
But I would still say I would be a little more spiritual than I'm religious, I would say.
Okay. So, does spirituality has a role to play in your understanding and portrayal of love and waiting in Muddat?
Wow. Yeah. Um, Beautiful, beautiful question. Really beautiful. Makes me think a lot.
अरे.
Um, हाँ, actually, बिल्कुल सही बात है ये. Spirituality has played a huge role, I think, when I
Hmm.
was trying to write about waiting in love, because there's some saying, right, for 7 stages of love वाला. तो
जी
उसमें there is
हाँ.
a stage where your love translates into ibadat, right?
हम्म.
Where it becomes a kind of worship for you, right?
जी.
तो आई मीन उसको देखने का नजरिया बहुत तरीके का हो सकता है, देयर कैन बी मेनी पर्सपेक्टिव्स टू दिस,
हम्म.
बट हाँ, एक स्टेज होता है, बिकॉज इट इज वेरी सिमिलर, टू वर्शिप एंड टू लव, इट
हम्म.
इज वेरी सिमिलर, यू आर सबमिटिंग योर सेल्फ टू समथिंग,
जी.
ठीक है?
हम्म.
वो एक ऐसी फीलिंग है दैट इफ यू बिलीव इन समथिंग यू सबमिट योर सेल्फ टू इट.
जी.
When you love, you do the same thing. You believe in someone, you believe in you believe in the feeling that you feel for that one person, and then you
हम्म.
submit yourself to that feeling. So I think it is quite similar. और वो spirituality का जो भी whatever I feel from inside about my belief system,
हम्म.
it is derived from there. So sometimes your muse can actually become the person you worship, or your
हम्म.
muse, when you're writing something related to love, can
हम्म.
become God.
सेंटर ऑफ राइटिंग. हाँ.
एग्जैक्टली, वो
हम्म.
बिल्कुल वो आपका म्यूज बन जाता है. इट कैन बी द डेडिकेशन यू आर, यू कैन डेडिकेट योर राइटिंग टू दैट
हम्म.
पर्टिकुलर फीलिंग. सो या, वो एक्चुअली प्लेड अ लार्ज रोल, बिकॉज आई थिंक इन सम प्लेसेस इफ यू रीड सर्टेन पोएम्स वो
हम्म.
काफी एविडेंट भी होगा, बिकॉज इट्स कंप्लीट सबमिशन. सो आई थिंक दैट इज द क्रक्स ऑफ द सिमिलैरिटी बिटवीन हाउ स्पिरिचुअलिटी वुड हैव impacted my writing.
Wow.
Very nice question.
And very nicely responded to. Thank you.
Thank you.
बहुत ही अच्छा था. So, both your books, they emphasize emotional validation and resilience and, of course, inevitability. Now, do you think societal attitude towards emotions and vulnerability are changing? And if so, how?
Another great question. um, मैंने जितने भी पॉडकास्ट किए हैं, these are really really good questions. I'm so glad that you have gone into these aspects of art. I love it.
I'm going to keep it as it is here. Wow.
You should. It's actually awesome. So I think yes, matlab, at this stage in time, there are a lot of places, gatherings, initiatives, जो स्पेशली आफ्टर द राइज ऑफ सोशल मीडिया एंड पोस्ट कोविड एक्चुअली, जो मैंने नोटिस किया है कि बहुत ज्यादा इन चीजों पे हो रही है बातें, बट आई फील देयर इज स्टिल सो मच, सच अ लॉन्ग वे टू गो
Hmm.
Because I feel like there is just a group or a 1% of, like the entire population that is participating or even listening or even like, engaging with this kind of content
Hmm.
or these kind of initiatives. So many more people who can engage with this kind of thing,
Hmm.
and still, there's so much more to learn for them, I feel. So, हाँ, changes आ तो रही है for sure, and it is quite visible. But then again, I'm saying this from a very privileged standpoint because मेरा circle वैसा है. I have seen the world that I'm seeing is
Hmm.
again through my rose-tinted glasses, right? So
Hmm.
वो मुझे दिख रहा है. But then I know also with the awareness that I have कि there is a large part of this society and world that is so away from all this. So I
जी.
would say, relatively speaking, हाँ, changes आ रहे हैं, but
Hmm.
it is still not nowhere close to enough.
Nowhere
Uh,
close to
yeah,
enough.
there's
Yes.
yeah, there's still a very long way to go.
Like there
And I
are.
seriously, sincerely hope कि कुछ और या थोड़ा और speed up हो या मतलब लोग और ज्यादा इन चीजों में interest ले, involve हो.
Hmm.
But हाँ, I can just hope and pray and do my bit. So that I will definitely work on. But there's still a long way to go for our society to get into a stage of, or even a place of acceptance on things.
Your understanding of this thing is so diverse, I would say. Maybe you have seen it, maybe you have read it. बहुत सारी
Mm-hmm.
समझ है उसमें. And that's why आपने
Mm-hmm.
स्टार्टिंग में एक चीज बोली थी that people mostly shy away from. These are the
Hmm.
emotions and the feelings that people really don't feel like talking about, and even they also don't feel like coming up with. वो उसको थोड़ा
Right.
admit भी नहीं करते हैं.
Hmm. करेक्ट. और ये सबसे बड़ी बात है, एटलीस्ट आई फील लाइक इन चीजों के कॉन्वर्सेशंस ना इज गोइंग टू
Hmm.
बेस्ट कम थ्रू आर्ट. एनी फॉर्म ऑफ आर्ट
True
इज
that, हाँ.
गोइंग टू बी, या मतलब वो दैट इज द ओनली चैनल आई फील दैट कैन bring in, and that is why I'm saying there is a certain section of people who understand
Hmm.
and appreciate art. They definitely get this point. उनको ये बातें समझ आती है, उनके लिए it is easier to have these conversations
Hmm.
compared to other people who don't engage with art, who don't understand, maybe because they are not exposed to art. There can be various reasons why they don't engage with any kind of art. And
Hmm.
when I mean art, it's again a very, very wide range of things, right?
True.
Movies and songs also come under artistic things. So
Hmm.
बहुत ही basic चीजें हैं. But ये changes जो है ना वो art से ही आ पाएंगी.
आज से ही
That's
आ
what
पाए.
I've always emphasized on this.
That's very fair as well, because लोग ना, जैसे आपकी किताब है उसे पढ़कर वो बहुत अच्छा महसूस करेंगे, लेकिन वो शायद उतना
Hmm.
बात करके उनको सुकून नहीं मिलेगा. Why? क्योंकि वही है,
Exactly.
हर आदमी उस चीज को समझ नहीं पाएगा. They won't be able to perceive it the way they want to.
Correct.
तो
Correct. Exactly.
हाँ, तो वो पढ़ के उस चीज, मतलब पढ़ के अपने आप को बड़ी तसल्ली दे लेंगे,
Hmm.
वो बहुत रिलेट कर जाएंगे.
Hmm.
सो दिस इज
बिल्कुल.
दिस इज द वंडर्स दैट आर्ट डज.
एंड और एक चीज है जो आज सोसाइटी में एक मिसमैच है या बैलेंस की कमी है. वी हैव आर्टिस्ट्स, वी हैव आर्ट, देयर इज सो मच अवेलेबल. मुझे लगता है ऑडियंस की कमी है इन चीजों के लिए.
ट्रुथ
Like
है.
the number of artists,
हम्म.
the number of artists we have, the number of authors we have, the number of speakers, song lyricists, actors, मतलब story tellers, इतने
हम्म.
सारे हैं. ठीक है. एंड हमारे पास ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्टिंग आर्ट है. सबसे अच्छी चीज तो यही होती है कि आर्ट इज टाइमलेस. The
हम्म.
things that are made in say 1800s,
हम्म.
जो किसी क्लासिक नॉवल में लिखी होगी, still relevant today.
Still relevant.
ठीक है. आप
Very
जेन
true.
ऑस्टन की बुक्स पढ़ो, एंड शी वाज लिविंग a different life in a different part of a country in a different era, but it
हम्म.
is still applicable to people today. How is that possible?
Truth.
ठीक है. तो the entire thing is there is so much material available, but
हम्म.
audience की कमी है. So I
सही
feel
कह
like I mean, इसमें तो we can get a lot deeper and go into how and why and of things. लेकिन
हम्म.
just to put it very simply, there is a lack of audience for art today as compared to the number of artists we have or the number of material we have. So, that is another point that always comes to my mind.
Believe me, ये वाला जो perspective है, this is limited to poets.
probably that is true, but I still feel like people who appreciate art also think the same way. वरना उन तक पोएट्स की बातें भी नहीं पहुंचेंगी, राइट?
आर्ट आप में और आप आर्ट में घुस गए हैं, ऐसी वाली फील हो रही है सच में। वाओ।
बिल्कुल।
ओके, सो अभी ये जो सोसाइटल एटीट्यूड था that you very well talked about, with the good that it has done so far, what according to you has been that one real disadvantage that fed itself and has grown unchecked all along?
बहुत लेयर्ड क्वेश्चन है ये, इसमें बहुत सारे लेयर्स हैं इसके लिए,
Layers
if
है।
I think about it. हाँ, but if I again trying to put it as simply as possible, I think there is a generic lack of empathy, जो कि क्रक्स है हर मुसीबत की मेरे हिसाब से. So I feel like सोसाइटी में अगर कोई ऐसी चीज है जो आपने कहा कि it has stayed and you know like just grown, has gotten deep rooted into the entire, like the society, the concept of society. Again, when I say lack of empathy, it also relates to what I was talking about as you know कि आर्ट का क्या वैल्यू है आज के वर्ल्ड में, सोसाइटी में, how it can bring about positive change. So I feel like the inherent empathy that people have again is instigated or nurtured through art. I think it's like a relative thing ना, जैसे वो अगर आपका आर्ट कंजम्पशन बढ़ेगा वैसे lack of empathy घटेगी. So it's like an inversely proportional thing. Because I feel like the more you engage with art, the more you understand different perspectives of stories, different people telling their stories. एक relatability factor बनता है, different stories speak to you. You kind of feel, even if you don't understand their point of view, you at least feel on a human level about the other person, right? तो ये सारी चीजें again that brings about a sense of community, it brings about a sense of togetherness and empathy in people, which I think is the fundamental building block of any society, right? So I think that is lacking and that has been lacking for a very long period of time. अब उसके भी like I said बहुत सारे layers हैं, क्योंकि इसमें क्यों, कैसे, why was it there in the first place, how it has gotten worse, उसके भी बहुत सारे factors हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. There are people who get busy with other things because life में priorities are like a lot of people have different kind of priorities in life, but in general also बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हैं जो एक सामाजिक तौर पे highest priority बोली जाती हैं. It may not be agreeable to you or me or to another person, but अगर आप किसी और को पूछो तो उनके लिए शायद वो validation ज्यादा important है as compared to other things. ये सारी चीजें जो है, it is a contributing factor to the increasing lack of empathy, but then no one has the time to really sit and think about it at this level and ponder about it and then work on it. तो वो understandable भी है, but I feel like that is the whole problem and like that is the seed of where everything grows from. If you talk about things that need to get better in a society, I feel that is the root of it. तो वहां से I think that is one thing, if tackled, rest of the other issues can automatically वो सब कुछ align हो जाएगा.
Align होगा बिल्कुल. And again the perspective thing that you talked about, art से at least ऐसा होगा कि वो कोशिश करेंगे कि हाँ मतलब ये पर्सपेक्टिव भी हो सकता है किसी का.
Correct. Exactly. They'll be open to other stories. हाँ.
True. Okay. So one very fantasized ask. I'm sorry for this, but if you could gift Muddat to a historical or literary figure, who would it be and of course why? And I guess ये relevant भी हो गया आपके लिए because I just said you're an avid reader. आपने पढ़ा भी बहुत है. Yes. So who would it be?
So this has to be a fictional character or dead, alive, real character? क्या मतलब what
Anyone
exactly
to a
are we looking?
historical or
Anything.
literary figure, anyone.
Okay. So I would off the top of my head मुझे दो ऐसी हस्तियां हैं जिनका ख्याल आ रहा है about this thing. I would say एक तो I consider again both of them are very inspiring and have inspired my journey in shairi and love, like like how much I love literature is inspired by both of them. One is Gulzar Saab.
Okay.
वो है अभी, he's there of course. I would love to, if I got a chance to at least even meet him in person, वो मेरा एक dream है. So I would like to gift my book to him. And अगर if I go into like legendary, not that old but at least legends, तो एक और है, वो है अमृता प्रीतम. I'm again a huge admirer of her work, of her, the way she was, the personality she was during the time that was during her, when she lived her life. तो ये चीजें हैं, because उनकी एक बहुत famous line है जो with which I resonate the most. उन्होंने कहीं लिखा था, it's a part of her whole poem. बट उसमें एक लाइन है कि जहां भी आजाद रूह की झलक हो, समझ लेना वही मेरा घर है. तो दैट लाइन resonates with me so much. I feel like it defines me in the best possible manner. So definitely I would want to like gift my book to both of them. I wish एक का तो possible नहीं है, at least एक का possible है, अगर हो पाया तो जरूर.
I don't know why it's happening to me, लेकिन आप बता रही हैं, it is your wish, your desire, and obviously it's going to make you the most happy if you get the chance to do this. लेकिन पता नहीं क्यों मैं इतनी बड़ी बड़ी सी स्माइल जो है ना आ रही है मेरे को, मतलब मेरा ना my jaws are paining, पता नहीं क्यों. मतलब इतना खुश हो रही हूँ मैं ये सुन के. I feel as if आप ये कर रही होंगे and I would be standing in front of you, I'd be clapping the most loud.
Wow, thank you so much. That's such a big thing, पता है. और आप इस चीज को अगर कह रहे हो, then you are a very beautiful human being, by the way. Because ये अगर किसी और के खुशी में खुश होना बहुत बड़ी बात होती है. तो definitely awesome, you are an amazing human being. ये इससे ये दर्शाता है basically.
I really won't say anything, but I'll take the compliment and thank you.
You should.
Thank you very much. Okay. Since it's about poems, it's about human emotions, it's about understanding human emotions, how do you manage to channel such deeply personal emotions into words while also ensuring they resonate universally with readers? Why I ask this is because the emotional graph of an individual changes n number of times through the day. तो मतलब किस तरह वैलिडेट करेंगे if you have to?
Again, जैसे आपने कहा, right, everyone goes through an entire like spectrum on a daily basis. तो मेरे हिसाब से as an author or as a writer or someone who's telling their story in any format, ये चीज समझना बहुत जरूरी है कि to reach a certain person's, to tap into one emotion that the person is feeling, it has to come from a very honest place from you, within you, like within the artist. So I feel like if you, at least I do that, I would say that सबको ये करना चाहिए. अगर आपका आर्ट के प्रति जो आपका इंटेंशन है वो ऑनेस्ट है, क्लियर है, तो I feel like वो पहुंच जाती है बात in some form or the other. Of course, if your art reaches the people, because I think a lot of people, उनके शब्द ही नहीं पहुंच रहे हैं लोगों तक. तो अगर आपकी बातें पहुंच रही हैं, तो to connect with or make a connect with that person, it has to come from a very honest place, I feel. I've never wanted to pretend anything. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि in fact, if your intention with a piece of art is to commercialize it, ठीक है? Say for example, you want to build a brand, you're trying to get famous, you're trying to earn a lot of money through it. तो अगर आपके intentions ये हैं, तो वो intentions clear होने चाहिए. That's it. इसमें कोई गलत बात नहीं है कि if someone wants to commercialize art, of course it is necessary to commercialize art. वरना लोग खाएंगे कैसे, right? It can't always be philosophical. So if you want to do that, you say you want to do that. You be clear with your intention. मेरे हिसाब से वो चीजें जरूरी है. Don't then go and say कि नहीं, मुझे मेरा intention ये है कि मैं like just be clear with what you want to do or achieve with your art. तो आपको एक correct audience मिलेगी जो आपके intention के साथ resonate करती है, जो आपके intention के साथ align करती है. तो in that way what happens is your art is correctly appreciated. वो waste नहीं हो रहा है. It is going to someone who is the right audience for it. ठीक है. वो तो एक साइड हुआ. दूसरी बात ये कि जब आर्टिस्ट अपना आर्ट बाहर मार्केट में डालते हैं, या इफ वी आर जस्ट ट्राइंग टू रीच पीपल, the audience also shouldn't feel cheated with the intention, like because they've heard so much, their expectation is ki, oh, this is what I will get out of it, and then they don't find that, right? तो वो एक थोड़ा mismatch हो जाता है. If your intention is not clear, तो वो avoid हो जाएगा. तो in that case I feel like ये चीजें सिर्फ clarity और honesty से आएगी from an artist standpoint. मेरे हिसाब से what I do, or at least I ensure, is what I'm trying to put out there is very clear. कि I'm very clear with it. कि this is what I want to achieve from my piece of art or my piece of work, so that I can target the right people. And that way I feel like the people who actually read my work, they resonate with it. बहुत ऐसे कम ही लोग होते हैं जिनको लगता है कि they know what they are expecting, or they know what to get out of it, and फिर भी उनको maybe उनको पसंद नहीं आएगा. That is personal choice, that's a different thing. लेकिन अगर आपका इंटेंशन क्लियर है तो वो बात आपकी यू विल बी एबल टू पुट अक्रॉस करेक्टली. दैट्स माय ओनली थिंग. तो आई फील वो रिलेटेबिलिटी फैक्टर जो आप कह रहे हो ना, कि इतने डीप इमोशंस को हाउ कैन यू मेक इट रिलेटेबल, हाउ कैन यू पुट इट इन वर्ड्स. इट्स because I know what I want my audience to to feel. I know how I want to connect with them. So I feel like वो करना फिर बहुत मुश्किल नहीं होता है once that clarity and honesty is there.
Had someone asked me this, believe me, I would have answered exactly same. यही words होते और यही होता. मतलब पता है, सच में ऐसा लग रहा है as if I am talking to myself. Like I asked myself the question and वहां से same answer ऐसे आ गया है. बिल्कुल ऐसे आपने बोला है. हाँ, कितना सही बोला है आपने. And पता नहीं क्यों, why artists हो या कोई भी हो, मतलब they keep on covering their motive.
नहीं. हाँ, एग्जैक्टली.
हाँ, और मैम यही है शायद कि रेजोनेशन में कमी होती है. वो आपकी फ्रिक्वेंसी मैच ही नहीं कर पाती.
करेक्ट.
इमर्स नहीं हो पाते. ठीक है, जैसे आपने वो स्टार्टिंग में बोला कि रीड एंड टॉस द बुक, उनके लिए वो वही रह जाता है. आपने पढ़ा, ठीक है, हो गया, अच्छा रीड था, फाइन, जल्दी पढ़ लिया, या इतने दिन लग गए. आप डिस्कस करेंगे तो आप ऐसे डिस्कस करेंगे. लेकिन जब समझ आएगा, उसका एसेंस होगा, मतलब होगा, तो आप उसको फिर और थोड़ा बैठ के अच्छे से डीपली किसी के साथ डिस्कस करना पसंद करेंगे.
करेक्ट, एग्जैक्टली. वो उतना मूव that book or that piece of art should move you, और वो कनेक्ट एस्टैब्लिश करने के लिए ये चीजें होनी जरूरी है मेरे हिसाब से एटलीस्ट.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. बहुत ही सुंदर बोला आपने, बहुत ही सुंदर बोला है.
थैंक यू.
One more question. Since your writings, they are full of feelings and emotions, तो आपको रिव्यूज भी वैसे ही आए होंगे. कौन सा उनमें से कैसा रिव्यू था that you're carrying with you all the time?
I think बहुत सारे आए actually, and I always keep all of them very close to my heart. But हाँ, ऐसे कई बार ऐसी चीजें होती है जो when people say and it touches you and you're like, yes, this fulfilled the purpose of what I have written. So the first thing, so I would go with मुझे over the course of time बहुत लोगों ने कहा है, but then there was one or two people who had a similar kind of review. So मुझे exactly याद नहीं है कि किसका क्या words था, but the entirety of it was that the book has saved them in times where so it's okay to feel this way के बारे में था ये, कि they got the book at a time when they needed someone the most, and they were going through a really bad phase in their life, and if they didn't have the book, they don't know what they would have done. So एक वो होता है ना, एक savior, एक friend, उनको उस point पे मिला मेरे book के रूप में, and that was my entire reason to write the book, was कि किसी को उसमें comfort मिले. Someone finds a friend in that book. If you feel lonely, you stop feeling lonely. I mean, you feel a little less lonely because there's someone who understands you and does not always give you solutions. Rather, एक मतलब लोगों का first attitude यही होता है ना, if there is someone you love also, they come to you with a problem, your first innate instinct is to go and say कि ऐसे कर लो ठीक हो जाएगा, right? But बहुत बारी ऐसा होता है कि we just need someone to listen and understand and give you a hug basically.
rather than advice.
Correct, rather than advice. मतलब advice of course is needed at some point, लेकिन process करने के stage पे आप advice नहीं ले पाते हो,
नहीं ले
especially
पाते,
when you're going through that. हाँ, तो उस point पे if someone is just able to find that comfort in my book, I feel like I have like achieved what I set out to do. मेरे लिए वो उससे बड़ा कोई award नहीं है, मेरे लिए उससे बड़ा कोई validation नहीं है. So I remember that, and that came as a very I was not expecting that review, and it came to me, and I was like, this is something I'll always hold close to myself, to my heart. On days when I don't recognize myself, I go back to those things and remind myself that I have been able to connect with someone at that level. So that was for It's Okay to Feel This Way. और मुद्दत के लिए भी ऐसी ही एक रिव्यू आई थी जिसमें they were just like they couldn't stop reading the book or couldn't put it down, and they just wanted to read it again and again, because ऐसा उन्हें लग रहा था कि उनके दिल के अंदर से किसी ने बिल्कुल सारी फीलिंग्स को निकाल के बाहर रख दिया है, जो they were hesitant to acknowledge कि उन्हें वो चीजें फील भी होती हैं. तो that is one review that I had got for मुद्दत, जो मुझे अभी भी याद है, and it stays with me always. So yeah, I've been very lucky that way. मुझे बहुत अच्छे जिन्होंने भी पढ़ा है बहुत अच्छे रिव्यूज दिए हैं.
By profession, I'm a psychologist. I'm a brain trainer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Believe me, you are going to have reviews जहाँ पे ही पता चलेगा कि Ashita recommended your book.
Oh wow. Thank you so much.
अभी तक पूरी conversation में you have been really easy with whatever you had to express. लेकिन ये जो आपने बोला है ना, रिव्यू भी मतलब आपने रिव्यू भी इतनी अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया है ना, एंड मेक श्योर कि हाँ, अगर मेरे पास कोई ऐसे आ रहा है ना जिसको शायद मेरी एडवाइस से ज्यादा एक हक की जरूरत है, जो वो खुद फील करे, सो honestly I'm going to give the book to the person.
That's like an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for trusting all of your words with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ashita. This has been a great experience talking to you, and really this is one of the best podcasts I've been on, क्योंकि मुझे questions बहुत पसंद आए आपके. It was really good.
Thank you very, very much, ma'am. And one last thing I'd love to ask.
बिल्कुल.
What is that bonus statement that will go from Astha Anand to the listeners and also the readers of your book? Of your books, actually.
I think एक statement कि दो तीन हो सकते हैं.
दो तीन हो सकता है.
Okay. तो because जो भी मैं बोलने वाली हूँ, it is all part of my work. तो मुझे मालूम है कि it's there in the book. So there's one statement that is there in the book, and then there is one statement that I follow as a rule of life. So I will just give both of them. So and एक तो मैंने already कह दिया है कि just bring a smile to people's faces. I think whatever it takes, छोटी मोटी चीजें से हो जाता है. It's the easiest thing to do. Trust me. So I would feel like लोगों को वो करना चाहिए. But my one quote from It's Okay to Feel This Way is that the reminder of your pain is really a reminder of your resilience. So take it in that manner. Like वो perspective से अगर अपने painful experiences को याद करोगे, forget about the pain, at least take that on the side and just remind yourself of how you got through it. It just changes the entire game. And that's the quote from my book. So I feel like people should just try to think of it that way. And I think the one more thing that I always follow in my life is, it's a golden rule. It's just treat everyone the way you would want to be treated, and life में कोई issues ही नहीं होंगे आपको, at least I feel. So it's just as simple as that for empathy. That's all.
ऐसे लग रहा है ना, I'm sitting with a very, very, very highly learned, मतलब जिनको ज्ञान की प्राप्ति वाला होता है ना, कि ऐसे वो इंसान के साथ में बैठ के बात कर रही हूँ.
Oh, that is really sweet of you to say.
कितने प्यार से आपने ये स्टेटमेंट्स बोले हैं, मतलब कितने एफर्टलेसली बोल दिए, ऑल्दो दे होल्ड सो सो ग्रेट मीनिंग्स, लेकिन इतने प्यार से, इतने अच्छे से आपने उनको बोल दिया। वाओ।
और ये चीजें बहुत बहुत सिंपल होती हैं,
बहुत
मेरे
सिंपल,
हिसाब से
हाँ।
बहुत सिंपल होती है। तो इसको बस अननेसेसरीली कॉम्प्लिकेट नहीं करना है, दैट्स ऑल।
हम्म। वाओ। बहुत ही सुंदर, थैंक यू वेरी 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 मच मैम। वी वर ट्राइंग टू कनेक्ट विद ईच अदर ओवर कॉल, वो हो नहीं पा रहा था।
या
फाइनली वो हुआ, लेकिन बहुत ही शॉर्ट कॉल था, एकदम मतलब क्विक एंड
बिल्कुल।
क्रिस्प वाला था। बट इसमें पता है, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा था शायद इतना वाइबिंग नहीं होगा या फिर इतना कनेक्ट नहीं कर पाऊंगी मैं, बट दिस वाज ब्यूटीफुल। बहुत ही सुंदर
थैंक यू
था
सो मच।
पूरी कॉन्वर्जेशन।
थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू आशिता, दिस वाज अ ग्रेट ग्रेट टॉकिंग टू यू।
थैंक यू मैम, एंड बेस्ट विशेस नाउ एंड ऑलवेज। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू, विश यू द सेम, और सारे लिसनर्स के लिए भी थैंक यू।
थैंक यू।